What I can confirm that the Wicked movie has been slapped with green screen trigger warning
I
in the
did tell I
UK.
did tell the listeners that we talk about some quirky details as we normally do from culture, which is our issue. And here we start with one. Tell us about this green skin trigger warning, Fletcher.
Well, I mean, we covered it last time. How absurdly weird and unusual this movie has been for the two lead stars as they go on this tour of uniqueness, to say it very kindly. Some kind of vegan triggering ceremony that they seem to perform at every stop, as they dwindle to skeleton frames. But it looks like this movie just keeps getting like more unusual as we go. So the UK has slapped trigger warning, on this movie, and anti green screen rhetoric in Wicked has turned the movie anti green screen rhetoric. I mean, yes, that's not
Of
a
course,
typo.
let's make sure we got that right. So, an anti green skin rhetoric
Right,
is being cited.
right. This is
Okay.
green skin racism. Because I mean, I know for a fact, you know for a fact, we obviously have a ton of family members, distant cousins, and a few of them obviously are green, and that you have to have like a little warning towards them. But no, we don't. Nobody has this. Nobody has like a green. There's no green people in the world. But
You take that
uh,
back, Fletcher.
uh I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. That's obviously, I'm being insensitive to the Elphaba, whatever her name is. So they learned a trigger warning for discrimination by the British Board of Film of Classifications. Obviously, they have way too much time in their hands
Apparently.
because, according to the regulators, seeing beloved characters being mistreated could be upsetting and poignant. Now, do you
Mm.
think people in the audience would know what poignant is? The people that are being triggered?
It
I
seems
don't
that
know.
people who are stupid enough to be triggered by someone having green skin in a fictionalized movie that's based on the Wizard of Oz is probably not intelligent enough to know that. No. To know what poignant means. I mean, it's a it's a you know kind of fantastical science fictional type of story. I mean, what would they do with Star Wars, right? I mean, you're saying that this is triggering. I guess
Right.
the idea here, Fletcher, is they're saying, look, she's being bullied because of her skin, and that's going to make people feel bad because, I really actually, you know what, I can't make sense of this.
No, no, no. It's one of those things to where you're kind of going, wait a minute.
That's a bit
Uh,
much.
that is a bit much, uh, because you're trying to say, all right, you see the character getting bullied, you sympathize with that character. I mean, and you bring it back to fandom because, I mean, I clearly remember there was, I don't know, it's she's a famous black dancer who was in Jabba the Hutt's palace as a slave, and she got thrown into the Sarlacc, into the Rancor pit in uh, in Star Wars, and there was no trigger warning there,
I don't
right?
remember that part. You sure that's in Star Wars?
Yeah, yes, it's in Jabba the Hutt's palace. People will know. People will know. But
People will
I
know.
guess
Okay, listen, if anyone knows, please write this in the chat.
yes.
Please declare your nerddom, your nerd card holding status by writing in the chat that you know what the heck Fletcher is talking about right now.
You guys would know what's
Because
up.
I don't know what he's talking about. I remember Princess Leia dancing with
Yeah,
Jabba,
but
right?
before that,
Are
uh,
you sure about that?
yes. Now we're going on a see.
I
I'm not
mean,
the only one. I'm not the only one who throws us into spirals.
well,
So
okay, fair enough. Okay, we'll
so
move on, but you'll have to show receipts for that later,
I
Fletcher.
will, not only will I show receipts, I will clip this and add that movie scene and be like, see,
Okay.
I told you so. Wicked trigger warning says a green screen woman is mocked, bullied, and humiliated because of skin color. A disabled woman in a wheelchair is treated in a condescending manner by able-bodied people. and talking animals are persecuted in a fantastical society. So
This is, you know what this is
that's the
doing?
trigger warning.
Fletcher, I mean, come on. You know what? This is so sad because even small children, when we were growing up, what did we read? I mean, we read much worse than that. I mean, we read, for example, that story Where the Wild Things Are, where you have little Max basically being told off by his mother and sent to his room without having anything to eat
How
because he's
dare
been
she?
bad. And then we see these fantastical creatures in the forest and the beasts, and he actually becomes basically a communist dictator to them and starts to, like, ride them and like be a tyrant. I mean, children have read stories like Hansel and Gretel with the witch taking them and literally baking them and eating them or something. I mean, we have stories of, you know, ogres and dragons. And you're telling me that now in 2024, not just young people, adults have to have some you know, kind of help to know that you might be disturbed by someone who's being bullied in the movie and there's someone in a wheelchair being treated badly. What has happened to civilization, and in the UK at that? I mean, these Fletcher, Britain used to brag that the sun never set on the British Empire. And by that, they meant there was no place in the world that they hadn't conquered. So there was a place they had put their flags. So the sun never sets because here maybe it's nighttime, but over there it's daytime because we already went over there and conquered those people and conquered those lands. And now you're at the point where you're giving trigger warnings to grown-ups to see a movie that has fantastical creatures and things because they might be treated meanly. We're not even talking about like some graphic, grotesque violence. Maybe that in that case, you might have a disclaimer, perhaps, so people can make their minds up if they want to see it or not. You're talking about, what is it, a PG-13 movie?
Yeah, pretty much.
And you have to have a trigger warning
How
because
dare you? You
someone, I
sensitive.
mean, children actually know even at a young age that people can be mean. I mean, are you serious? That's crazy.
I, you
It's
know,
insulting. It's
the
insulting.
the funny thing is like, so you're saying that Matilda doesn't need a trigger warning, and it has all kinds of shenanigans, but this one does. So
I mean,
obviously
there's
they're
all
not ready
kinds
for
of
Matilda.
I mean, we're not ready for Cinderella. I mean, Cinderella was
That
bullied
is true.
by her stepsisters and her mother. She had her mother die, her father be a completely absentee, emotionally absent father who doesn't even manage what's going on in the household with his wife, basically bullying his daughter. And she grows up with these ugly, ugly stepsisters who couldn't care less about her. I mean, are you serious? And that's a more realistic situation. that's And yet we read those as children, and we weren't damaged by them. At least I don't think so.
No, no, it's the thing.
We
Maybe you
managed somehow to,
you didn't know that you were damaged inside by watching it.
that's
It's
insane.
yeah, it's one of those things where it does
I mean,
happen.
what about Bambi? I mean, that was one of the saddest things ever to watch Bambi die.
I actually think
Or Bambi's mother die. I guess that
I
was it.
think Bambi now has a trigger warning also.
Does it really? Are you serious?
I think it does. I
You're
don't want to
kidding me.
assume.
Oh my
I
word.
don't want to assume, but I believe it does. So
Okay, well then you told me off.
that's just letting you know. This is kind of new stuff. I mean, I think it had a new trigger warning in like everything now. Everything has some kind of trigger warning. Everything has some kind of, hey, this could be a little
But
bit
you know what it
questionable and
is?
stuff.
Here's why it's offensive. And of course, I'm not surprised it's in the UK because they have taken nanny state to a new level. And we're not far behind them, but they have definitely seemingly led the fray here. It's infantilizing. It makes not just children more childlike, but not childlike, childish. It makes adults like children. It makes adults childish, in which they have to get help for things that adults used to manage without anyone even thinking about it. And that makes the government more powerful. I mean, you have to be, really suspicious of these kinds of things. They're not doing this for your good. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They want to make you weak and soft. They want to make you not a hard person. The weaker and softer you are, the easier you are to govern. And so I think that's what this is about. I don't think it's innocuous. I don't think it's nice. I don't think it's kind, and I don't think it's for your best interest. They're giving these warnings and they're saying these things so that you start to internalize the idea that you're helpless and weak and injured by seeing something that's really not even a big deal. I mean, yeah, it's not nice if you're the disabled person and you don't want to be bullied, but you're saying watching it in a fictional story is somehow, going to injure you is insane.
Don't get triggered. Like, share, and subscribe.